For life.
Yeah. Bullet cast. What's going on? Stacy. This elite podcast in here. Ain't nobody better. Look. Yeah. Listen to us every time we live in the side. When you turn it on, it's just defining the mind. If you feel it, our opinions is great. When everything we moving now in the state, turn us on. If the feeling is right, every opinion now comes from the heart.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You know the name, you know the voice, you know exactly why I'm here. Just in case if you don't, I'm a 26-year-old piece of gold, the messiah of the microphone, and the greatest sports and recreational podcaster in the world today. I am joined by a former Bulletcast champion, Brandon Tanguma. We're dropping the Atticus. You're back to your old name because you're the only one that shows up.
Oh, thank you, Phillip. I appreciate it. It's Wednesday, so sometimes, but now regularly, kind of. It's the Bulletcast. Excited
Yes.
to be here. Even though our champion's not here, it's still a three-man booth today.
It is a three-man booth. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the president of SPW and the owner and leader of the Lodi Con and Stockton Con ships, Mr. Mike Miller, is back on the BC. Mike, how you doing tonight?
I'm great, guys. Thanks for having me. It's a privilege to be the third man in this booth.
Yes, you're the third man,
It's a
brother.
little tight in here, though.
Man, it's gonna get loosey-goosey with the conversations. So let's just jump right into it. Brandon and I, we talked about it when the news kind of broke late last Wednesday evening about the Vince McMahon scandal and the alleged affair.
I mean, I talked about it. You were I want to hear for more information to come out.
Well, we've waited, and now we know a lot. So it's come out that a lot of stuff has happened. So Vince McMahon had an affair with a paralegal who she was making, I think, $100,000 salary, and then her salary was increased to $200,000. And then a $3 million settlement in hush money was agreed upon. And, you know, he had the woman sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, and apparently Johnny Laurinaitis knew about it, and apparently the $3 million was his own personal money. So that's where the investigation steps forward. And Vince McMahon, which is something that we never thought would see, and unless he unfortunately passed away, Vince McMahon is no longer the chairman and CEO of World Wrestling Entertainment. The Queendom, it's in full effect. Stephanie McMahon is now the chairwoman and CEO of WWE. She's the head honcho. Vince still has creative control. He's still in charge of the creative direction of Raw and SmackDown. Yeah, this is wild. This is definitely the biggest thing to hit WWE since obviously the steroid trial, and even given the Benoit stuff, which we're coming up on 15 years in a couple days, which is crazy. Mike, you know, what are your thoughts about this whole thing?
I mean, this is something that it's a big story. I mean, I think that this could definitely have ramifications, especially with this, you know, the investigation that's happening. I mean, it's hard to really comment on it until they could go a lot of different ways with it. But I mean, I don't know. There's been a lot of interesting things going on with WWE in the last year and a half or so. Everybody was thinking that they were kind of preparing to sell, and then Shane stepped away, and then Stephanie stepped away, and then, you know, obviously with Vince kind of stepping down from that role. I mean, it's interesting. And then, you know, I mean, of course, with him on SmackDown and then on Raw, it was really a strange thing because, you know, he basically just came out on Raw and said, okay, John Cena's coming back next week. That's it. Good night. You know, it's kind of quick and easy, but I don't know. I mean, like I said, there's, you know, there are things that he's done over the years, I mean, that have not been amazing. Right. I mean, so this is not a shocking revelation, right?
I think it's shocking that he stepped down because
yes, no, I agree with that. I mean, but the surrounding circumstances are not amazingly shocking.
Yeah, I mean, because I guess he and Linda have not been together for quite some time now. So, I mean, it's not like he cheated on his wife. You know what I mean? And then with the NDA, so apparently anonymous emails from someone this paralegal knew or how, you know, this started this investigation. So, I mean, if I'm Vince, I'm filing a lawsuit for failure to adhere to a legal document. If that,
that's
'cause, I
possible
mean,
too.
I'm like, she had to have told somebody.
Right.
Like, you don't just be like, you had an affair with Vince McMahon, and you just keep that quiet, you know?
Yeah, an NDA, like, I mean,
And then again, we don't know the exact terms, but obviously
Right.
the general term is you don't say shit.
right. Yeah, you don't talk to anybody about it. And that's, that could be something that happens. I mean, we're not that far down the road on this. So like, I mean, there could be a lawsuit that involves an ad, or I mean, I don't know if that would involve returning the money from this. I don't know.
Yeah, and then apparently 5 different law firms are investigating WWE now. Brandon, what are your thoughts on all of this?
I mean, it's a crazy situation. I mean, when we talked about it last week, it was more just the initial Wall Street Journal article, and you kind of touched on it, but I think, well, not like the main portion of the investigation, but I think a lot of stuff that's gonna, surround it is like the money aspect, not exactly the NDA and, the hush money, because that was Vince's own money, but the fact that she got hired for a job that may or may not she should have been in the first place. Then she got promoted, doubled her pay to 200,000, and that's WWE money. Vince is using his own personal relationships for gain and using the company money in places that probably aren't the best for the company, and that's and he has to bow down to stockholders and all that other good fun stuff. And there's possible other NDAs out there and other relationships that we don't know about that possibly had to do with hush money and money that could have been used in other places that the stockholders aren't going to like. I know this might be like a little tiny detail. This is like my journalism hat coming out, but Vince in their statement, he didn't step down, he stepped back, which in my eyes is a completely different thing. Like when someone steps down, that's like, you're gone, you're not going to come back. They're saying he's stepping back, which means there's a possibility of him coming back. And I think that's what they're hoping for and what WWE is trying to do. And with Stephanie, I think like she was gone, a couple weeks ago, and they were kind of trashing her and like Business Insider or something. And then she comes back. And I think this is more just like they want a McMahon to be the face of the company. And Stephanie's probably not happy about this because her mom, I mean, I don't know what their personal relationship is, but I'm pretty sure she's not happy with Vince right now. And she has sympathy towards her mom. And there's a lot of just family drama, like going back to Shane back at the Royal Rumble. So it's like people will compare this to Succession on the HBO show, which kind of has a similar family dynamic.
Yeah.
I mean, I would just love 5-10 years from now for us to really like know everything that happened between this family, like right now in the past couple of years, because it's just super intriguing.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of weird stuff has happened since Nick Khan has come into the WWE fold. People are also comparing this to the Sopranos plot, how Tony Soprano took over the business interimly for his father, and then eventually became just the sole person in charge of the of the family business. Yeah, man, this has been a very interesting topic. Johnny Ace has reportedly already gone from the company. Bruce Pritchard has stepped in as the interim head of talent relations until they can find a permanent replacement, or hell, Pritchard might be the permanent replacement. We don't know anything about that yet. And it looks like a lot of things have already been changing. News broke earlier today. Triple H is back in NXT. Now, we don't know exactly what that means. He was at the Performance Center today, and he had a conversation with the talent and the crew, and he just said he's back. So does that mean he's back to run the show like he once was? We don't know. We're gonna have to wait to see about that. But what are your thoughts, Mike, about Pritchard being the head of talent relations and Hunter being back with NXT?
Pritchard's an interesting person. I mean, I don't know if you've ever listened to his podcast, but like he's been very. I haven't listened to it in quite a long time. In fact, since really shortly after he returned to WWE, but like, he's been there, been fired, been there, been fired, and been other places, been fired. Like, I mean, it's just kind of the nature of the wrestling business, I guess. But like, he definitely has a good eye for talent, I think. And I mean, the head of talent relations has always traditionally been somebody who always answers to Vince. I mean, that's the bottom line in everything that we're talking about, is that at the end of the day, it's always Vince's decision, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what does Stephanie actually do? Because from my understanding, like Vince, like maybe loses some power, but like he still has like stocks and all these other different things. Like I
Yeah,
know
he's
we're not like a business podcast, but I'm like, what is Stephanie actually doing besides just being like the face of the company?
Oh,
yeah,
well, she's.
you're right.
Oh,
I
no.
was sorry. I was just gonna say, like, I mean, I think doesn't Vince still hold like 80% of voting rights?
Yeah. So he has a lot of shares. So if it came to like an actual like legit vote out, he has the majority shares. Now, the only way he would, I guess, be voted out is if everyone on the board voted against him, really,
Right.
or like a nice amount. Because I guess the way that would work, I've been looking into this. Let's say Vince he has like a lot of voting shares, but let's say if it comes down to permanently voting Vince out and it becomes a tie, then like people that like, let's say a certain amount of people are for it, a certain amount of people are against it, and it's a tie, then Vince would go back to being the sole CEO and chairman. And then obviously if there's one more vote to get him out, then boom, he'd be out of the company on that aspect. Not sure about the creative side though.
And that's kind of what I'm talking about with like the whole stepping back, stepping down thing. Like if he were to like step down, that's him just giving up like complete control. But him stepping back is just kind of him, still being there, sort of. I mean, he's obviously still part of creative. And those 2 appearances, I just thought were so weird. Like,
it was a ratings plug, bro.
No, I know, but
he can't talk about it. So what did people really expect?
You don't come out at all. I thought it was just so weird. He didn't say anything, but by saying the then now forever together thing, it was like some sort of like rallying cry of him trying to get the people. Because this is kind of what he did, like with the steroid trial, trying to get the WWF fans together to rally behind him. And I think it's also like the mainstream media is just going to look at this like, oh, that's just that stupid wrestling thing. They're in their own little world. I mean, even like on CNN. Jake Tapper kind of had like a little aside, like, oh, of course he's going to be on television, because I think people, for better or for worse, look down on wrestling. And I don't know how the mainstream media is going to really like look at this going forward, because like if it's just like a business thing compared to like the NDA and the, a fair thing, I think they're just going to not care too much about it. And I think Vince is going to try to hope that they don't care too much about it.
Absolutely. I'm going to read this fan mail from Robert Walker. He says, I never thought I would see Vince not in charge of WWE unless he was no longer with us. Why wasn't Shane picked to take over briefly? And how do you think he feels? That's a good question. I mean, Shane, he stepped away for years, and Stephanie really, her role in the company really became more prominent and all the stuff on TV. So we just really assumed that her and Triple H would take over once Vince was gone. And I guess Shane has to feel some type of way about it. The quote unquote prodigal son not taking over the throne of his father and his sister doing it.
I mean, even when they were kids, Stephanie would always say like, because people just anoint Shane as the heir apparent, but Stephanie was like, no. And we've always seen Stephanie's more like Vince, Shane is more like Linda. And as I said earlier, like the family dynamic of the affair. And I mean, remember like we were going over the Pat McAfee thing, and Vince was like a throwaway comment and was like his former wife, or he like the way he described Linda, it was like really weird. And we kind of brushed aside, but now, I mean, when did this take place? Like what, February, January? It makes a whole lot more sense now.
It all makes sense now. 20-something years later, the Alliance won.
Do you think Vince came back for that match just because he thought that'd be the last, he possibly might know that was the last time he could do it?
No, I don't think this had anything to do with him doing that Mania thing. It was just like a last minute thing to kind of rally the in-house crowd and probably get like some last minute eyes on WrestleMania. I think that's it, Yeah.
Okay.
All right. We've talked about all of that. Let's go over to SmackDown. Roman Reigns retained the WWE Universal Heavyweight Championship against Matt Riddle. A good match. Roman, he hasn't wrestled since WrestleMania, so that was nice to see the champ back. They had a good back and forth, but Roman retains. Now, before we talk about the Brock of it all, what were you guys' thoughts on the match ski, Mr. Miller?
I think Riddle has really kind of risen to that top level, but just kind of under it, if that makes sense. Like, they've done a great job of making him, and obviously Randy Orton had a ton to do with that. It's like kind of bringing him to that, that top level. it's interesting when you talk about tag teams and what that does for somebody. It's a whole other ball game when you have Randy Orton involved as your partner, because he's on such another level at the top of the game in WWE. So when he's working with Riddle, I think that elevates him to a not transcendent level, but very close. And so when he's in this match with Roman Reigns, I think all three of us can agree that nobody thought Riddle was going to beat Roman Reigns, right? I mean, I think that's pretty much was a given, like, especially not going to beat him on a SmackDown, but I think it was a really good match. I thought there was a nice false kind of version of that RKO that really was like, wow, that got pretty close, right?
Yeah, it was like 2.99. Roman has mastered the last minute, last second at the kick out for sure. Brandon, I mean, you've been a Riddle guy for years. I've finally come around. What are your thoughts?
I thought this match was fantastic. I mean, Riddle, as you said, I've been a big fan of Riddle ever since he got signed to WWE. And the way he was used early on, I was like, oh, he's just going to be the stoner guy. He's going to be just a comedy act. And I mean, when he joined with Randy Orton, like, I know I was kind of skeptical because they were really leading heavy into that, but like Randy and Riddle just kind of clicked and they both elevated each other. And he is, rebuilt himself. I kind of agree with Mike. Like, he's like, a top level guy in the sense of like what a top level guy in WWE really can be these days. And they're, leaning on him to carry a lot of segments. But then on Monday, he has that match with Omos. And I know you can explain away that he had a match with Roman and he's tired and he's injured a little bit. But then, I mean, he just loses to Omos.
It was a squash, essentially.
And they did that earlier. Like, I think I'm pretty sure it was when he was still with Randy or even before that, like he just got squashed by Omos again. So we do see like the pecking order of things of there's as much as we kind of see through Omos and he hasn't really shown too much. I mean, even losing like Bobby Lashley, and I guess he kind of lost that feud. I guess they're still protecting him and beating quote unquote top guys so he can move on to Money in the Bank.
Yeah. I mean, well, Riddle, he's not in the main event yet. They threw him in the main event to kind of see what would happen. They didn't pull the trigger. I mean, not to say that they're not going to pull the trigger at some point in time in the future. And then the Omos of it all, I mean, it's Omos. He's a Nigerian giant. Of course he loses to him,
But with so many injuries going on and like Randy, Cody, and other people, I think you wanted to protect those people a little bit. I mean, you can't really go back to the Roman thing because they have that stipulation in hand, but even just like having him.
I mean, look, bro, AJ Styles lost to Omos. He lost to Edge like 3 times, but look at him now on Raw. It's like it never happened. He'll be all right. Riddle will be all right.
Wins and losses mean less now than they've ever meant in the history of wrestling.
Unless you're AEW, where they say they matter, but they don't really matter.
Correct.
Yes. Yeah. It's a whole thing. But yeah. So getting into it, Roman said there's no one left. He told us 2 years ago he was going to smash everyone and leave. So he was about to leave, and then it's Minneapolis. You should have expected it. Brock's music hit. The Beast Incarnate is back. Apparently, he's bigger than ever. I was like, oh, okay. So I guess SummerSlam, we're getting Brock versus Roman, undisputed title, last man standing. This is going to be their 7th one-on-one match. I mean,
doesn't include multi-man matches, which what does that take it up to, like 10?
It takes it up to what, 9? Look, bro, Rock and Austin had a lot of one-on-ones. Obviously, we only talked about the 3 Mania ones, But look, Brock's the new emergency break glass. Taker's retired. Randy, obviously, I think it was going to be Randy and Roman. Randy's hurt. Cody's hurt. Lashley's tied up with Austin Theory. So this is what we got to do. Unless you wanted to see Goldberg again, this was the best we could do. What'd you say, Mike?
Who's next? Yeah, I mean, I think Bray Wyatt's probably coming back. I think Cesaro's probably coming back. I mean, is he going to be at that level?
Well, maybe Cesaro's at another show. Maybe the Sunday.
So people have been about Bray Wyatt and Cesaro. Apparently, they took down Bray Wyatt's theme songs from the WWE YouTube channel, but they left Cesaro's. So people are like, "Oh, Bray's not coming back, but Cesaro's definitely coming back." I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, so Brock and Roman one more time. Honestly, this might be how they get the championship off of them. This I could see it, or a Money in the Bank cash in, or something like that. Then it would become a triple threat, last man standing.
Bray Wyatt, bring back the Fiend.
Something's happening. But I think Seth wins Money in the Bank, and I think he cashes in. Play kind of a flashback to WrestleMania 31 that happened out here.
Yeah.
Drew challenged Roman at the Castle, and they just completely dropped that and don't talk about that anymore.
The Castle's not until September. We can't just jump ahead.
I mean, Roman could have done some like offhanded remark, or Drew.
It's not even worth Roman's time. He's on the island of relevancy.
I don't know. I mean, I think it is starting to become an issue. I mean, WWE, as I said, doesn't have too many top tier guys right now, and Roman is just beating everybody, and he's not wrestling all that often. I know titles don't mean really much in WWE, but I don't know what else Roman really can do besides Brock. And I know I've been like a Brock defender, but this one, I mean, I understand where they're coming from because of the Randy injury, but I just don't know where they really do. Like, Roman beat Brock clean, middle of the ring, no shenanigans really whatsoever. Like, maybe Brock can go back, or I don't know what the storyline reasoning for this match is going to be. Besides, you big man, I'm big man, I want title, I beat you for title.
Maybe.
Brock's used to winning. He's not going to stop until he wins. This man was an NCAA heavyweight champion. This man was a UFC heavyweight champion. An IWGP champion. He collects championships and he wins. He doesn't like to lose. It's that simple. It's that simple. Let's move on to outside of the ring. Let's get into this real quick. Apparently, Zac Efron is going to be playing one of the Von Erichs in a new Von Erich biopic. Now, it hasn't been stated which one. A lot of people think he should be playing Carrie. This is the first I've heard of it. What are your thoughts on the dude from High School Musical playing a member of one of the most famous families in wrestling? Mike.
I mean, he was great in Baywatch with The Rock, so I mean, he has a wrestling lineage.
Yeah, and I mean, he can.
And by the way, I mean, Baywatch is a very terrible movie.
Yeah, I still have not seen it. I mean, I think the last Zac Efron movie I saw was the Neighbors thing he did with Seth Rogen. Apparently, he played Ted Bundy, and I guess he was okay in that. That's what I've heard. Brandon, any thoughts about Efron playing a Von Erich?
I mean, it's every time you have like a big name kind of tied to the movie, that means there's some steam behind it. It's going to be a big deal with promotions and all of their stuff. I mean, I haven't seen too much of like Efron's work. I mean, I see it like in Neighbors, that whatchamacallit, the comedy.
Yeah.
But besides that, I think he's a good actor. He seems fine. I don't know what his role exactly is going to be. A Von Erich movie. It's not exactly a happy movie, so I would assume it's going to be very doom and gloom and serious. So
I think he could play dramatic. He was in a drama with Miles Teller and Michael B. Jordan that I thought was nice. I don't know what the name of that movie is, but go look it up. It's nice. It's very nice. Unfortunately, we have some sad news to report. Referees Dave Hebner and Tim White have passed away over the course of the week. Dave Hebner, obviously, his most famous angle was when Andre beat Hogan for the WWF Championship at the time, and then Andre sold it to the $1 Million Man. And I interviewed Ted DiBiase, and we talked a little bit about this. Shout out Mike Miller. We talked about that whole angle and DiBiase defending the championship legit for a couple times. But so the idea was that DiBiase had paid paid Earl Hebner to get plastic surgery to look like Dave, to be the crooked ref in order for him to get the championship. And it was this whole big angle. And then Dave Hebner went from being a referee to kind of being a part of pull aparts and being like an official backstage and things like that. And then obviously Tim White, he was probably one of the most recognizable referees in the Attitude Era. And he was in he might have been, I think he reffed the first Hell in the Cell match, if I'm correct. And one of his more notable roles was he was Andre's right-hand man. He was Andre's chauffeur, his buddy, because they went into great detail about that in the Andre doc that HBO did a few years ago. So, guys, thoughts on the deaths of Tim White and Dave Hebner?
Go ahead, Brandon.
No, I mean, it's sad that they happen so close together. And the Tim White one, hit me a little more just because he's more of a recent ref, and I did see more of his stuff. And as you said, like the Andre doc, and the way he talked about Andre and just everything, it was really nice to see like the emotion from him, and T's and P's, and it did kind of remind me like nowadays WWE, like I know that's kind of what they want. They don't want more stars for if they leave or whatever, but they don't really give the referees any character, like even like give them a name really. Like I know that I think they have like their own little following, people like who know who they are, but like they're just not a bigger deal like they used to be back in the day. And I know that's just them trying to, take power away from them. It's more the brand than the people inside the ring. But it does kind of suck that we don't get those same type of referee lineage that we did, 20, 30 years ago.
Yep. Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with Brandon. I think that Dave Hebner probably resonated with me a little more just because he's kind of one of those iconic referees, like going back to the 80s. I mean, he's been a part of a lot of different angles, and even in TNA, like he did some stuff there that was kind of fun, and Tim White occasionally was a part of a storyline too. But obviously these guys, they put their lives into this business, and it's always sad when you lose somebody like that. But it's hopefully they are remembered, and I think they will be. I mean, obviously, like Brandon said, the documentary on Andre the Giant is a great watch if anybody hasn't seen that. But also, just to hear some of those stories that Tim would tell, and and on the other side, like Dave Hebner had an amazingly long career as well.
Absolutely. Slammiversary that did give Dave Hebner a nice little tribute. Earl and Earl's son Brian Hebner, that was nice. Lastly, on Outside of the Ring, Paige's first WWE appearance, or first post WWE appearance, has been revealed. She will be at Starrcast. I think this is 5 or 6 for it's the weekend of Ric Flair's last match in SummerSlam in Nashville. Mike, is there any chance we could get Paige at a Stockton con or a Lodi con? Or
there's always a chance.
Wait and see. Just gotta wait and see. I see. Inside the Ring, real quick. Slammiversary happened. It was Impact's 20th anniversary. A lot of great stuff. They Aces and Eights was out there. TNA Originals, Dixie Carter. Just a whole lot of stuff. Shout out to Speedball Mike Bailey. He's been wrestling at West Coast Pro a lot lately. He's the new X Division champion.
Yeah, he's one of the great. By the way, just to cut you off for just a second, I mean, he is one of the greatest in-ring talents. I mean, in the world right now.
That dude is my new favorite wrestler, man. That dude is excellent. Whenever I know he's on the card, I'm like, all right, this is about to be tight. His match with oh my God, what's his name again? Brandon, homie that's been on AEW recently. The Japanese talent. What's his name? I forget his name. From DDT.
I know who you're talking about, but I have so many New Japan wrestlers in my mind right now. I can't get it out.
I can't think of it. Anyway, you'll know who I'm talking about if you look him up. That match was fantastic. They just put it on their YouTube, and it was great.
Takeshna.
Yes, Takeshna. So congratulations, Impact. 20 years. Sting made an appearance. WWE let AJ Styles make an appearance. That was cool.
Oh wow.
Yeah, man. The first time I ever saw TNA, AJ Styles did a Fosbury flop, and I fell in love with AJ Styles and TNA. It was fantastic.
Awesome.
Yes. All right, moving on from that, let's get into the fan mail real quick. Let's see. Okay. Hootie Who 420.
Hootie Who.
There we go. MJF drama, Roman on hiatus, Sport now till 2023, Cody out most likely till the Rumble, Paige leaving WWE, Sasha might be released, Vince not sitting in the throne. The last month of 2022 has been bloody insane. It has been. We still don't know if Sasha's actually released or not. That's been very hush-hush. Jack of all trades. With all the Cena appreciation going on, what is your favorite rivalry and match of his? Mine would be the 40-plus minute match he had with HBK on Raw. I'm sure Phillip approves. I do, man. That was excellent. And then his rivalry, our favorite rivalry of his, I'm going to go with the Edge one hands down. Let me see. Favorite Cena match? SummerSlam 2016 with AJ Styles. That was bloody excellent. It was fantastic. And then a favorite rivalry, I'm going to have to go to the Punk one, possibly. Yeah. And then a close second for Cena matches is that match he had with Punk on Raw in like February of 2013, where Punk hit Cena with a pile driver, and apparently Vince had a heart attack backstage because of it. Brandon, we grew up in the Cena era, so you favorite Cena match and rivalry? Anything that comes to mind real quick?
Favorite Cena match, SummerSlam 2013, Dana Bryan. Bryan wins the WWE Championship. Nothing else happened after that match. Nothing else happened. Bryan wins. Confetti comes down from the rafters. They fade to black. Great ending to the show.
He doesn't like to talk about the cash in that happened after.
I don't know what you're talking about, but my favorite Cena rivalry. I know it. Well, it's not like a Shawn Michaels or an Edge because it didn't happen a bunch of times, but I would go with The Rock. Me coming back into wrestling 2011, 2012, Rock doing his thing, Cena holding his own, because there was no guarantee that Cena was going to be able to hold his own on the mic with The Rock. And I think Cena held his own and possibly even beat Rock on the mic a few times. And I think that match is a little bit underrated. I know The Rock wasn't exactly in the best shape, but I thought just the star power and everything was a fantastic match and a storyline.
Yes, sir. Mike, you have anything when it comes to big match, John?
I mean, originally I was never a huge fan of John Cena, but I kind of grew to understand everything about him, and then the whole thing with him make the most Make-A-Wish, appearances and stuff. I mean, that stuff is just amazing. He's got an amazing documentary coming.
Absolutely. All those Make-A-Wishes. I said this last week. John Cena is probably the greatest babyface of all time, man.
Oh, he is. Yeah,
just with that alone.
Incredible.
Lastly, Dan said, sad to see two great referees, Dave Hebner and Tim White, gone too soon. Put them in the Hall of Fame. It's long overdue. We do need refs in the Hall of Fame, man. Yeah. Them. Mike Chioda's a great one. Lil Nate, Charles Robinson's a fantastic one. Let's get some refs in there, man. TNA, they threw Earl Hebner in there. Why not? Let's do that. All right, and then let's get into some Raw discussion. The Cody losses hasn't phased Seth. Seth was I know he's in the Money in the Bank match, and he had a little segment with Riddle and stomped him out, and that probably just solidified people's thinking of Riddle getting buried because the loss to Roman, the stomp out by Seth, and then the loss to Omos. But hey, man, that I think it's good that Seth is kind of getting into that space of where you can take losses and still come out better and bigger than before, which is fantastic in my eyes.
Now I'm going to kind of go the opposite of you. I'm not saying he needs to do anything drastic, but you lose 3 big matches in a row. I would think that he would do more than just, brush it off and just be like, oh, who cares? I'm still going to do my thing. And
his problem is with Cody, and he aggravated and possibly injured even more of the pectoral muscle. So,
but
whenever Cody comes back, we're lighting that up again.
If you're going to lose all those matches that you put so much heart and effort into, don't you think you would want to take some retrospective and try to look at you, maybe try to switch things up so you can be better?
Well, I mean, the first time he got caught off guard, didn't know who his opponent was. Second time he got rolled up. Third time he just got beat. He just got beat. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So
he lost to a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest.
Yes.
Almost literally.
He lost, and he brought a gun to a knife fight and still lost. Yeah. Yeah.
And that doesn't phase him. He doesn't care about that.
We don't know. He does. He does. He got his somewhat revenge on Cody. Whenever Cody comes back, they're going to run it back. Let's have a best of 7. Seth wins 3 in a row. Then they have the rubber. Let's do it. I'm all for it. Mike, what are your thoughts on Seth's character since the losses to Cody Rhodes?
Seth is one of those guys as I mentioned, the wins and losses really don't matter, but he has that charisma and that presence that he is one of those guys that is a big star, and he can just kind of be put into anything. I don't know, is it something with Riddle that's coming? Is it something else? I don't know, but it's whatever he does is going to be watchable.
Yeah,
I like his suits. I love suits.
Can we see you rock one of them?
Yeah, man.
At Stockton Con, you gotta break something out for both days. Yes, I'm about to get a picture with that, man. Carmella replaces Rhea in the women's title match of Money in the Bank. Apparently, Rhea has a tooth and brain injury, so she'll be out of action for a little bit. Hey, man, it's the match we never got at SummerSlam. Yeah.
I saw on Botchamania today that they did like the suplex last week or 2 weeks ago, and she like bounced her leg up on the rope and like smacked herself in the face. Is that what happened? Is that like what it's stemming from? Because that did look a little nasty.
It might be. I don't know. Styles gets a much needed win, and he defeated Tommaso Ciampa. He was on Miz TV and then attacked
just Ciampa.
Yeah. Oh, Ciampa. Yes, he was on Miz TV. Attacked Miz, took his glasses, posed with him, got a nice pop from the crowd. So nice to see Styles get a big win. Yep.
Hate to see Ciampa just gets brought up, has like a feud sort of with Ali, and he's like Miz's right-hand man, but then he doesn't talk or do anything, and he just loses. Great use of Ciampa on the main roster.
Hey man, let it play out.
Not saying I'm shocked, but
let's see what happens.
That he would at least get something in his first storyline or something.
Let it play out. It's not over yet. It's not.
Yeah,
over.
It definitely isn't over. But like, I agree with Brandon. I mean, you got to do a little. You could have done something more with him for sure.
Yeah.
Other than taking away his first.
Yep. And then let's talk about the thing that Mike loves the most: Elias and Ezekiel. They were on Raw together. It was funny, man. You can't lie. I'm sure everybody got at least a little chuckle out of this. Mike, talk about it.
I mean, it's a living Spider-Man meme. I love it. It's just outstanding. Like, I mean, Ezekiel comes in, Elias comes back. It's great. I mean, if the stuff with Kevin Owens has been great too. Like the whole program. I think I mentioned to you guys off air. I mean, this is my favorite thing in wrestling right now, and maybe I'm in the minority. I don't think I am. I hope not. But yeah, it's outstanding stuff right now.
Absolutely. Brandon, any thoughts about it real quick?
I mean, I love it. I mean, it's really stupid. I think Kevin Owens is the best person to really play off of it because he has great comedic timing, a great heel, and they just threw out like a random line that he has like a third brother. And so I wouldn't be shocked if Kevin Owens is in a tag team match with someone going up against Ezekiel and Elias. Elias gets his flight delayed or something happens to where he can't. So then the third brother's going to come in. And it's just a completely different person. Looks nothing like Elias or Ezekiel.
Yeah, I mean, different moms.
And it's old Elrod. Yeah, old Elrod's going to show up and it's going to send Kevin Owens for a loop because it's a completely different looking person.
It would be hilarious. I
hope so.
They're going to pull somebody from the Performance Center. It's going to be great, man. All right.
Bringing Damian Sandow because he did mention that he would not be in attendance at Raw.
Braun Strowman. Just bring in Braun Strowman on a one-night deal.
Oh, Jesus. That would be something. Let's real quick. Finn and Ray have been wrestling on Main Event. Judgment Day is on Main Event, wrestling the Mysterios. People are saying, oh, they're buried and all this other stuff. Look, man. Did the Clique get buried when they wrestled on Action Zone back in the day? Was it a burial when Macho Man was wrestling on Superstars, even when Raw was going on and stuff like that? No. Gotta let it play out.
It's that vocal minority speaking up.
Yeah, like
people that are like they kind of have these opinions, and it's like it just kind of, oh yeah, and it's like it's kind of tractions up. But like, I mean, I honestly, until you said that right now, I never even gave that a thought.
Like, come on, man. Like, we know Edge is coming back and he's gonna get his revenge on the Judgment Day and whatnot. And I mean, you're telling me we're gonna get Demon Finn versus Brood Edge? Come on, bro. Come on.
Whew.
Come on. And let's say the Demon beats him. Come on. Would it really be burying then just because he wrestled a match or two on Main Event? Stop it. Stop all that noise.
I would just like to confirm that Finn did win this match, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I love Ray. He's an absolute legend. They should be using him better, but
booyaka.
It is what it is. And Judgment Day kind of took the night off with Rhea. So, and Edge isn't there right now. So, I mean, it makes sense. If he's not going to be there, have him wrestle on Main Event and, put in a good 8-minute match and beat a legend.
Absolutely. Former Stockton Con guest, Rey Mysterio.
Really? When was he at Stockton Con?
Oh, it was probably about 4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, for sure. And then let's get into some AEW talk real quick. This has been irritating me. People don't care about the interim championship. Wardlow didn't care. He said, I want to face CM Punk for it. Hangman hasn't really mentioned it or anything. So if you're in a sports league, your goal should be to be the top guy and to be the champion. Whether it's interim or not, whatever, your goal is to be the champion. Like if I were a wrestler for SPW, I would want to be the SPW heavyweight champion. If you're a college player, you want to win the Heisman. If you're an NFL player, you want to win a Super Bowl. If you're an NBA player, you want to be like Draymond and holding a trophy and being ridiculous and having a championship ring. I don't understand. Look, Punk's out. Just do the old WWE trope, because they say wins and losses matter in AEW, but they really kind of don't, unless you're Jade Cargill and you're undefeated. Strip him. He relinquishes the title. You have a tournament. We have a new, not interim, but just a new champion. Punk, when he comes back, he gets his rematch, he wins or whatever, and then we move on. Like it's gotten so convoluted that, you know, Tanahashi's wrestling Moxley, who Tanahashi's never had a match in AEW. He's wrestling for their championship.
And then he's going to wrestle for the G1, and we all know he's going to be in Japan. So is he really going to win the AEW title? Technically, he doesn't wrestle a G1 match on a Wednesday except for like once, so it could happen, right?
Yeah, so it's just, Mike, do you have any thoughts about this? Have you been keeping up with AEW?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's it's a way to keep traction, right? Like as far as the interim title, it's like, I mean, it's kind of a UFC type of thing. You know, when there's an injury, they do an interim title, and then that person comes back and, you know, he defends that title for a few months, and then they have a unification match or whatever. I mean, that's obviously what they're doing here, but, you know, I mean, yeah, I mean, of course it would be, it's just a way to keep interest in it. And they've always tried to do that. So, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. And, you know, Moxley being involved, he's always going to be involved. So like getting Tanahashi involved, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
If you want to see me go on a mega rant about the title picture, go back to Curveballs and Chair Shots 2 weeks ago. I did it all by myself, and I just went on. I basically said all the same thing you said, Phillip. If Wardlow wants to be the champion and face CM Punk, well, if he's interim champion, he gets a direct line to CM Punk. And
right,
why is Hangman, the former champion, not even in the Battle Royal? And he doesn't even raise a fit about it. And you're gonna, get me worked up again, Phillip. What the hell?
Yeah, people have been really compliment or
I thought that Dynamite episode from 2 weeks ago was the worst episode of Dynamite in their history. I hated that show just because of the world title and what they did to it.
People have been like really criticizing Tony Khan's work as of late.
And I'm the AEW guy. I'm the one that should be defending them all the time.
Well, hey, look, I'm an AEW guy too. Oh, hold on now. I know I had my moment back when I was
you banged your head, brother. And now you've come to your senses.
Yeah, it's just a whole thing. Christian turns on Jungle Boy. We talked about it briefly last week. People are saying it was kind of like underwhelming because you knew it was coming and then it happened. And Edge and Christian.
That's what good storytelling is, though.
Edge and Christian are going to be Edge and Christian wherever they go. They're going to do concertos. People are saying the concerto didn't feel as impactful because Christian didn't, really get into like the facial expressions that Edge does. Would you guys agree with that, or
what? He didn't decapitate Jungle Boy?
No, like how Edge, like the facial expressions when he does a concerto, like you believe.
Yeah, but then really sometimes I feel like he goes way too over the top with that stuff. Like it's cartoonish.
But it makes you buy into it. The facial See, this is why Edge, he did some acting and it's all playing. It's all helping him in this latter run. Maybe Christian needs to go do more movies with John Moxley. I don't know. Did you?
I haven't seen that, but I mean, this has kind of been coming, and I know he referenced the elimination from Jungle Boy, right? In the Battle Royal. So
yeah. I mean, it's a long-term play out, which is fine. I mean, look, sure. Christian, he's great. Jungle Boy, I mean, we watched him on the indies out here, so it's gonna be a really good match.
Yeah, Christian cut a promo today, just kind of explaining everything. I thought it was really well done. I know it's easy to compare Edge and Christian because who they are, but I think Christian's much more better suited as a heel. I like him better in that role compared to what Edge was doing with Judgment Day. He brought up, the dead dad stuff, which maybe was a little bit low hanging fruit and a little bit too much. But I think everything else, I very much enjoyed it.
Shout out Luke Perry. But yeah, it was we'll let it see. We'll see what's up. Young Bucks new tag team champions.
Luchasaurus was in the mix as well at the end, and Christian was going to tell him something about like Marco and something. So Luchasaurus is in this somehow. We don't know whose side is he on.
Yeah. Should they have done a who done it angle?
With
Jungle Boy gets attacked.
CM Punk gets run over by a car, and that's how he gets written off TV.
Like Jungle Boy gets attacked, and like we obviously think it's Christian, but we come to find out it's not Christian and it's somebody else, and then Christian hired them. Let's get really dramatic with it. You know, let's do a telenovela. Let's do a soap opera.
Or is it like Marco Stunt went to space like Poochie? Is that what you're
something like that? Young Bucks.
I know it's canceled, but we did a little trapped in the closet action, just like a 20-30 part series.
Well,
twists and turns.
We really can't mention him.
Young Bucks. I didn't mention anybody.
New tag team champions. How do you think the second run's going to go? Titles are on the Young Bucks. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, Young Bucks, every match they have are bangers. I think they're really well done. I know there's some people hating on the internet that they're putting the titles on them again in the EVPs, but I mean, I think they're well deserved. I think the end goal is probably ultimately to get them on FTR as baby faces this time. A little bit of a disappointment that they're just kind of thrown into a 8-man tag for Forbidden Door, but we're getting a lot of these tag team matches for Forbidden Door. I know we'll get into it a little bit, but
we're about to talk about Forbidden Door, and I've seen on the internet Danielson says he has a replacement for Forbidden Door, someone who's the best in the world, and they're showing a picture of him and Shane McMahon. I'm like, oh, that's funny. That's hilarious. Well, let's talk about Forbidden Door. So Max Caster and the Gun Club versus the DKC, Kevin Knight. Alex.
Is this for the interim Bullet Cast World Heavyweight Championship?
No, it's not.
Okay, just wanted to ask, since our champion apparently is injured or MIA as well.
Yeah, so it's going to be a massive multi-man tag there. Sting, Darby Allin, and Shingo Takagi going up against Takahashi versus the Young Bucks, El Phantasmo and Hikuleu. Zack Sabre Jr. versus a mystery opponent handpicked by Bryan Danielson. Chris Jericho, Minoru Suzuki, and Sammy Guevara versus Eddie Kingston, Shota
Umino,
and ROH Pure Champion Wheeler Yuta. So this is one thing that irritated me last week. I'm gonna just throw it out there. You know, Sammy Guevara comes out there, Fuego del Sol costume. He reveals it's him. All right, cool. They go on a rampage, and Jericho says that Sammy's officially back with him. I'm like, yeah, no shit. He helped you win. We understand that. And then they just got convoluted with certain members of Jericho Appreciation Society and Suzuki Gun teaming with each other for Forbidden Door. Like, it just really didn't make any sense. I'm like, what are we doing? Moving on from that, Will Ospreay. Does he have the physical championship yet? No, right?
No, because Juice has it and he's still here, and I don't know. It's a whole thing, I guess.
Let's get another one made. Like, just have replicas like WWE does, ready to go. Have the TV one and have the house show one. Come on, guys. So Will Ospreay is defending the IWGP US title against Orange Cassidy. Thunder Rosa is going to be defending the AW Women's World Championship against Toni Storm. It's going to be a winner-take-all triple threat tag team titles match. Ring of Honor tag champs FTR versus IWGP tag team champions United Empire, Jeff Cobb and Great O'Khan versus Roppongi Vice of Trent Beretta and Rocky Romero. That's a lot. Fatal four-way for the inaugural AEW All-Atlantic Championship. Miro versus Pac versus Tomohiro Ishii versus Malachi Black.
I just want to throw it out there. Miro wins and he sacrifices the title to his god. And we never see the title again.
Possible.
That would be amazing.
Give it to Malachi. That'd be something different. Or not give it to Pac. Let's give it to Pac. Why not?
And then he destroys the All-Atlantic title and we never see it again. That's all they care about.
Damn, wow. Can we give it to Ishii? I mean, I'm one of the biggest Ishii guys in the business, Mike. Love me some Tomohiro Ishii. The IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Jay White defends against Adam Page, Kazuchika Okada, and Adam Cole in a fatal four-way. I don't think that's ever happened for the championship before. I know they did a triple threat with Kenny, Cody, and Ibushi. I think it was King of Pro Wrestling a few years back or whatever. And then for the interim AEW Championship, Jon Moxley, Hiroshi Tanahashi Winner faces injured AEW champion CM Punk at a later date to unify the championships. That's your Forbidden Door card. Forgot this was this weekend. I'm going to tap in. I'm going to see what's up. I assume, Brandon, we're doing a recap of it.
I mean, we don't have to
night?
if you don't want to. It is this Sunday night.
We'll do one. We'll
see what happens. We'll see. Maybe Los Padres actually gets a win and we celebrate all night.
Yes. And then we celebrate Monday night at the training academy.
I mean, Forbidden Door, it's like an okay card. I mean, obviously, I'm still going to watch it, and there should be like some good matches on there. But I think they're playing the long game with this. It's the first night, the first show. They're gonna, the intrigue of just it instantly sold out. But I think they're gonna want to do more of these. And with the injuries to Punk and Danielson, did throw them for a loop. And they don't want to blow their load on the first show. So I think this is going to be a yearly thing, and we'll see what the buys are, because I would assume this is not going to do that well. Probably like half of what normal pay-per-views do, so maybe like 60,000.
Yeah.
I will say the Orange Cassidy Will Ospreay match should be really fun, but Will Ospreay is just another guy in AEW right now, and I know he has his history and all these other things, but the man is so talented.
What history?
Oh yeah, I mean the people don't be liking Will Ospreay that much.
If you want to see Will Ospreay do some really, I guess, heel-ish, go watch on West Coast Pro's YouTube channel, him versus Titus Alexander. His entrance in the match where he just shoulder checked this lady I was like, oh my god, that was priceless.
He had an absolute banger with Nick Wayne this past weekend.
Yes, sure. Nick Wayne is fantastic. I love that kid, man. So, I mean, Mike, what are your thoughts on Forbidden Door? You tuning in? You're going to wait to read the reviews to watch it?
I mean, I will watch it. Definitely, as you guys mentioned, the Orange Cassidy, Will Ospreay is going to be by far the most interesting match for me, just personally as a fan. But I think that overall, I mean, I've never been a fan when you bring a lot of guys together in tag matches on these types of shows. That's why I'm probably most intrigued by the Ospreay match. But I mean, obviously, these are all going to be great matches. I mean, from a talent level, it's just the interest level for me just isn't there from that aspect. Does that make sense?
No, yeah.
And they're kind of doing the New Japan thing where they have the tag team matches and there's kind of that one odd person out that you can clearly see is there to take the fall.
Yeah,
exactly. And that was like when New Japan came and did the show, and I think it was San Jose last year. It was that type of a show in the sense of like there was not a title match on the show. It was all like maybe there was one, but it was mostly tag matches, and it was like like you said, unorthodox tag matches. It was like 4 versus 4, 5 versus 5, and it's just, I mean, I like to see guys kind of go at it, especially in maybe a tag match or two, but I like the one-on-one. Or
I am excited for that women's match. I know they probably just threw it on there so they can say, look, we have women on the show. It's not an all-man card, but I mean, they probably rushed into this because I think Toni Storm should have been saved for a later date, but her and Thunder Rosa given the time, should have an absolute, fantastic match.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, let's see, man. We'll do Superstar Spotlight when we talk about the I guess when we do our review. Lastly, I want to I'm getting all these text messages. I want to talk the NorCal Cal Ripken 8U
Cal what?
Cal Ripken, that's what I said.
Okay, good. Put some respect on the GOAT's name.
Yes, absolutely. State baseball tournament. It's happening this weekend. I'm going to be doing some announcing. I don't just do wrestling commentary, guys. I'm a regular Tony Schiavone, It's going to be at Mount Eden Park. If you live in the Bay Area, especially Hayward, you know where that's at. Stop by, come support the kiddies and whatnot. And before we get out of here, I want to mention Stockton Con. Mike, we're going to have you back when it's closer to the date to really go over this. But sir, you have outdone yourself. I'm going to read off a few names. Ron Perlman, who was in Sons of Anarchy and most famously played Hellboy. We have Karen Parsons, who was in Major Pain, which is one of my favorite movies. And obviously, she played Hillary Banks in the sitcom Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Who else do we have here? Let's see. Maria Barrera. She was in Wizards of Waverly Place. She played Sunset on Proud Family. Huge Proud Family guy. One of the biggest Proud Family guys in the business. And as far as the wrestling goes, WWE Hall of Famer JBL, multiple-time Women's World Champion Mickie James, and Johnny Takeover, Johnny Gargano. Come on, man. And so many more. Napoleon Dynamite's going to be there. This is a hell of a lineup.
And West Coast Design's going to be there.
West Coast Design. Shout out West Coast, one of the best belt maker in the biz today. Mike,
this is our 10th anniversary, so obviously, we wanted to take it to another level. We work with some great, companies that represent, the agents that represent some of the celebrities, and a real big shout out to CelebWorks and Primetime Appearances and my girl Shayla. I mean, there's a lot of folks that help make these things happen. Jordan Nash and helped bring in Johnny Gargano. So, I work with a lot of great people, and that's what makes these events bring in the types of people that we're able to bring in. And then, of course, the fans are amazing and support us. And I just, I'm blown away just by what we're able to do, for you to hear you say that and to say great things about StocktonCon is great for me to hear. And we just try to do the best we can for the fans. And this is our 10th year doing it. We started in 2012, and obviously we didn't have an event in 2020, and we came back last year, and hopefully.
Now you guys did the winter one in 2020, right?
In 2020 we did, and we did not do the summer one.
Obviously, because of the pandemic, yeah.
And then we came back last year, and so hopefully we're going to be able to have a good turnout, and we have a lot of great guests and a lot of great artist guests. Art Adams, Tony Fleece, who does this great comic called Stray Dogs, and Dan Brereton, a lot of other great artists. James O'Barr, who did originally did the Crow. Tim Bradstreet from The Punisher. We got some amazing guests coming.
Man, guys, if you've never been to a StocktonCon or even a Lodi Con, make sure you go out there, man. Brandon, you've been to a couple StocktonCons now. What are your overall takeaways?
I mean, they're amazing. I've only been to like one other kind of Comic-Con type thing. So, I'm not really familiar with it, but then, we've been to a few StocktonCons, and they've really blown me away. It's at the Stockton Arena. It's a great venue, and you can, whatever you want to do. There's so many interests, comics, wrestling, some sports things as well, artists, and all the other good fun stuff.
Yes, sir. Mike, if you need a panelist host, I'm your man. I'm your guy. Man, no, but thank you so much, man. I say it every time you come on, and I sing your praises. You've helped out the BC in ways that we couldn't even imagine. People have taken us seriously because of some of the guests that we've had on this show, and you've helped us get them, man. So thank you very much.
Oh, you got it, man. I appreciate your guys' help, and and your support has been great over the years, and we'll just keep on doing what we do.
Just keep on keeping on. That's going to do it for the BC episode 281. Thank you guys so much. Brandon and I, and whoever we don't know, we'll be back next week to recap the week that was in pro wrestling. We're doing a Forbidden Door recap on Sunday night. Stay clean, stay strong, stay safe. Diamonds are forever, and so is the microphone Messiah.
Every opinion now comes from the heart. No time we move with a part. We on the radio, it's wrestling. Times are crashing. Here is the
This has been the Bulletcast. Thank you for listening.